My name is Margaret N. Windsor, and I was kidnapped in 41. I was born in 39. I was brought to Moulton, Alabama, Lawrence County, when Montgomery, Alabama is the state capital where your birth certificates are kept and all the documents, etc., because it's the state capital. Now then, the reason I'm saying that is because I was given the name of Twin when I was kidnapped from Buckingham Palace and brought to a pigsty and a hellhole, there's no other word for it, so abused in Moulton, Alabama. And I grew up being told I was Peggy Ann Dempsey. I married a Childers. When in fact in '83 I found out both twins had been killed by their mother, Lina, who was unwed, and the family covered it up. But then I was taken there deliberately. It's about maybe 50 miles, 45 or 50 miles from Huntsville, Alabama, where Redstone Arsenal ballistic missile, you got NASA was starting in early 50s, and it's the timeline and everything and what went in. I'm hostage. I always have been, just like Great Britain is. I'm British. It's who I am, and I'm going to get to that again in a second. First of all, I put some of this about Montgomery. It's clues in mind control murders. I wrote a book on mind control in '76 till April Fool's Day of '80 when they put antifreeze in me. Had a letter from the FBI June the 23rd of '79. That's my father's birthday, is June the 23rd. This is my father, who was illegally taken down, forced out by the Illuminati, the Freemasons, and this whole thing was a lie. This is my Aunt Georgia O'Keefe. Irish-American, my mom. Claudia Ruth is her baby sister, my mom, who married my father, King Edward VIII, who never married Wallace Simpson. The whole thing was orchestrated, and she married a look-alike double. My own Uncle George VI helped in my kidnapping, taking down his own brother, 99 years seal put on it. Joe Kennedy was ambassador to England, 36 till they kicked him out in 46. He and JFK and the older son, Joe, flew in. At the very time I'm being kidnapped, they were there at the embassy with their father. So they helped in my kidnapping, too. I'm Victoria II, legal heir to the British Crown. This is Roosevelt. Now, I want to get to this because this has been used in the murders. I was given the name of a twin, and this is Alabama, and your birth certificates are, if you order them, are from the state of Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama. This is some murders that happened. I ended up here. Well, first of all, Larry Flint was shot while I was doing the book in Atlanta, Georgia, Marietta, where so much of these crimes happened against me personally and other people. But it's horrific, and I wanted to make a point that Eric Holder, the U.S. Attorney General, is there now making speeches on behalf of civil rights, which they do not want any of this told about me. I have had no civil right. The FBI told me when they issued me a letter, and I thought it was because of the book I wrote about mind control, Larry McDonald, Lawrence. They're using the Lawrence in some of it. Lawrence County, Alabama is where I was taken, like Montgomery is the capital. So Larry Flint was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia. You're using the Larry twice, Larry and Lawrence. And the person was programmed to shoot him, and that was mind control. They also put a chip up Timothy McVeigh's buttocks, the Army did, and thus he was commanded to blow up the Oklahoma City bombing, and he was put to death. So this is Fort Hood, next door shooter. He was a psychiatrist, by the way, finished at Montgomery County. That's Virginia Tech, right next door to New Blacksburg, Christiansburg. And prior to that, he was programmed. And prior to that, you had the 33 mass shootings at Virginia Tech, April the 16th of '07. There's a long list of them that haven't been associated with mind control. They don't tell it. So this is the Aurora, Colorado, and they're treating James Holmes for mental illness when he's a victim of mind control. One has absolutely nothing to do with the other. One has to do with chips put in you, or they don't even have to be so advanced now. They can reach out and program armies, and that's what they're doing. But anyway, you have to stop the programming of the man, not give him psychotic drugs, which is torturing him. It's absolutely ludicrous that doctors, the politicians that know about this, let it happen. This is the Russian young fellows, the Boston bombing. So I won't go on with any more of them, but I will say this one. This is my sons Mark and Scott are heir to the crown after me. I have no idea where they are. The civil rights that has the things that have been done to them is hideous. This is Mark, the heir after me, and then Scott. They're 11 and a half months apart. To show you kind of how they've used it in it, this is Gabby Gifford, and these are mind control murders. And it's hard to prove because mind control is invisible. NASA started in part because of my ransom, which involved illegal treaties being signed, scientists coming across to help the United States. It looked like the United States was the people that developed it. So this is Mark Kelly. He's married to Gabby Gifford. He's a twin and an astronaut, just like his twin brother Scott Kelly is an astronaut, and that's my son's names. And I wanted to get to this if I can before I go. This Eric Holder is there, and let me say this: everybody knows about this. Not one person. This is the people, not necessarily the agency that's doing this one. This is the people that did this to me and allowed it to happen. But he's down there defending and talking about giving police more ammunition or putting cameras on them. It should be the people that put the cameras on. And I guess I was totally against that. But now then it's they that are being led by the nose, and they don't care. You got Andrew Young, was a former UN ambassador who knew about the antifreeze going in me, knew about Africa, South Africa, that's British colony, and he knew totally about that. Jimmy Carter appointed him ambassador to the UN. They cared a lot about Africa, didn't they? Who do you think sent the Ebola virus to Africa? I wrote about Emory University and the Center for Disease Control way back in the book. So I thought it was because of the book. I only found out my real name in '83 when I was flown out to Flint. Well, a little later. But it's hideous what they've done to me because nobody's going to tell it. What I wanted to say was the young fellow, this is one of them, he walked out of the Irish pub, and I don't know, they may have planted this one to make me look like a fool. They've done everything else, but the Irish pub, his name was Shane Montgomery. He walked out, and he's missing. So you get the Montgomery part in the Irish pub. So I guess that's about it. I mean, nobody wants it, especially. Let me say this: Andrew Young, Martin Luther King, and JFK, they both knew about my real name before when I didn't. Mind control was used in the JFK shooting and the Martin Luther King shooting. So no one has done anything to help me. Some of the police have, and some have not. But the people as a whole just found it funny. They hate me for telling them. So if I sound rambling, I want to go back to this, if I can get it on here. It's a mechanism used, and it was during the Wayne Williams that was supposed to kill the blacks in Atlanta. You had Mayor Jackson, who's black, of Atlanta, and the police